Hello everyone, welcome back to this new stream. How you all doing? Today we're going to continue working on Pockets, the project that we started yesterday. Again, I'd like to take the chance to apologize for the mic quality. This should have been fixed. I'll just quickly check again just to be safe. But it should be all good. Yeah, awesome. Let me know how if you're hearing me correctly, if there's too much noise. Please don't hesitate to tell me if there are any technical problems. So why don't we go back to the main screen and why resume let's do a bit of a small resume of what we did the last time, right? So we made a some small API routes. We did a V1 router, basically, that would allow us to get the status of some containers, and a route that would allow us to create a container. That was on the server side stuff. And then we had a small CLI tool that we started building uh, that would allow us to execute those commands, right? So if I do go run, first of all, let me check if I have Docker running. And I don't think it was. Awesome. Okay. If I do go run dot list, right? So list and container message was okay. And on this side here, we get the data for that response, which is great. So that step is working fine. What I'd like to do is work a bit on the CLI and actually do some config, which I think would be nice. I'd like to figure out how to write a config file, have Cobra parse the config file that we write, or the structure that we specify for the config file, and then supply that config stuff with to each command so that they can run properly. Okay, so that's the goal. If I look, I already had some of this stuff set up, kind of. Um, I had I I have an old project that I was working on called libsql TUI, which is a terminal user interface for using libsql. And in here, I'm using Viper to basically just read config stuff. So I think we can probably do something like that. So let's see. If I go on to main, can I do type up? Okay. And let's say we have an application, right? And the app needs an endpoint. It kind of just needs an endpoint for now. We'll probably add more as time goes on. And then what we can do is we can do Viper, and we can do set default, and we'll have pockets. No, let's have endpoint, something like that. Endpoint like this, and the default will be HTTP 127.0.0.1, 3000. And then we'll do Viper, the set config name, and we'll need to go get this package. And let's see. Let's do a go mod vendor tidy. There we go. Could not get, not required module provides. Okay, yeah, whatever. That's, yeah, whatever. Let's just reload all of this, so it should be fine. There we go. So set sets the name for the config file. I probably call this pockets. And then what we can do, except restart my webcam that froze. There we go. We could probably do add config path. So we'll do home config, and then we'll do pockets or the current folder. And then let's say we can also pass this with some env variables, and let's do pkts. So we could you can pass in the endpoint value using pkts endpoint equals something. And then let's do Viper read in config. Let's see if there's an error. The error is not here is not nil. Then let's do log.fatal error and then panic. So normally this should still work. Config file pockets not found in home config pockets or in there. Okay. Okay. It should still work. We should still have some we should still have values, right? So let's see, can I just do pockets.toml, for example? And if I run this, then this works. So it still needs a config file, even if the config file is empty, because we have a default. Viper. Can we do if error dot is there a way to know what kind of error it is? Not Let's do a printf of the value of error. Okay, so this is the whole thing. Config file pockets not found. Do we honestly care? Like, let's see. Can I do printf viper.get. I want to get the string for endpoint. This should still have the default value. Yeah, we got it right here, HTTP, blah, blah, blah. So we don't really care about the error then. There we go. And now we have everything we need. So we get our configuration. Then we can do something like var config app. And then we can do config.endpoint is what we did before. So viper.getString endpoint. And then we can pass in app config to both our commands. Okay. And let's see. Let's maybe have like a let's have a config module. Config.go package config, and let's just get this out of here and inside of here, and then we can just import it back. And then we can just do config.app like this, which means that now we can have, if we go to the create command, for example, and we want a pointer, so let's do config, which is a pointer to config.app, something like this. And let's do the same thing here. So we want config, which is a pointer to config.app. And let's just pass in something like this. And this seems like it's working fine. At least we don't have any errors, which is good, which is really good, because we're playing with pointers, and which is not the best, honestly. But in this case, it's all right. Like we're just passing by reference, since it all lives inside of here, and once everything is read, then it will be free. Then we should be good to go, hopefully. So let's go back to list, for example, and we'll do sprintf, and we'll do that, and then v1/status, and as a reference we'll have config.endpoint. And this should work. FMT imported and not used on the main thing. All right, and this works. Awesome. So we can do the same thing in the create command. And we should probably also do the And then we will need to do the we should do the logic for the create command. But before we do that, first of all, let's do this one, config file read, just so we have a bit of a history of what we do with this stuff. And I would like to do, let's see if we can figure something out. I'd like to have a, so I don't like to do all my logic inside a run argument for a Cobra command that is inside of another function. I'd like a more separated thing, right? So let's see, commands config. Should it be inside the commands? I don't think. Let's do something like handlers, docker, and then we'll do something like list.go. And we'll do func list. And it will still need a config. And inside this function here, we can basically take all of this and put it inside this function, and we'll also we can remove all of this, and we'll also need this right here. And then we can do add some import and add import. There we go. And inside our command, inside our run function, we can just do docker.list with config. And this still works, which is a bit more readable, I believe. Let's restart the webcam. There we go. Yeah. That should help a bit. And now we can do the same thing on the create step. Do handlers docker, and we'll have a create.go. Inside this package, we'll have a func create, where we need the config app, and inside of here we'll do all the stuff that we need to do. Let's see, inside here we'll do docker.create, and here we'll also need args0, right? Because we are passing in a name. So we'll do name string, and this should be fine then. Let's see, great. Yeah, so I can close this, I can close this, and then I can just focus on this. Okay. Let's see. Let me check a bit of my old code. Let's see if I can remember how to do. Yeah, okay, so we can do a post with the URL, then we can specify the type, or the content type header, and then we can do this, and we can probably just do a struct and then marshal the struct into bytes instead of doing something like this. Okay. So let's do type create request body, and let's check what we need. Just a name. Okay. So we'll do name string. Let's do body is a create request body with name of name like this. And then let's have res and error, which is an http post. And you can see URL, content type, and then the body. So let's do sprintf, and then should be v1/create, I want to say. Yeah, create. And we'll pass in config.endpoint. Then we want an application JSON content type. And then can we do JSON.marshal body. Okay, so let's do something like this. So do JSON.marshal of body here, and then we'll do b. We don't want to marshal this, we just want b like this. And it wants an IO reader. Can we do bytes dot new buffer of b? Okay, and if error is not nil, let's just do a printf for now. Let's do a printf that says could not marshal body in create request. And same thing here. If the error is not nil, and we can do create request failed with error, and then we'll just do error, and we'll return. And let's do fnt printf create response, something like this. So create.go, yeah, because we now switched over to let's do commands create, and then we don't need the format thing in here anymore. So this still works. And now I can do create test. Create response to 100, okay, we should probably change that. And my container is created and it's running. Okay, so everything seems to be linked okay. Before I forget, let's do So if I write, it's just this. Okay. Let's do w dot write header, and let's do 201 because 201 is okay. And now if I run the same command, I should get a 201 created. And my container is still created and it's still running. Okay. Let's commit a bit of this stuff. So I'll do this one. Set correct response code. And then let's do refact split commands with handlers. There we go. Okay, this is going a bit better than yesterday. It's a bit more dynamic. I like it. We should probably do a bit of reformatting here. And this validation, I still need to do some research about how to do that. But we can probably say it doesn't really matter when it's just a proof of concept. Hopefully. Let's do that. I just want to say Golang get random free port. Is there something? Get free port as the kernel for a pre-open port that is ready to use. Free port. Get a free OpenTCP. Okay. Are there any issues? Which proper server go? Should take IP address. Localhost is not adequate. Okay, it's not really maintained. Let's see. Simple Go module that provides methods for find and open port in the local system. Okay, but is what do they return? Right, so if I do get TCP port, TCP port for address, it returns a port result, and the port result has an IP and a port, so we could just read that because I want to try to see if we can run this and associate a port with it, so do a bit of network mapping, and then access it on our navigator on our machine, and see if it all works fine. I'm hoping it does. I still need to figure out how to actually how to actually do network mapping in Go with Docker, but the documentation should have that somewhere. Let's do let's see, container create. Do I have exposed ports? So let's go back to our Docker docs. Run a container. Stop all running containers, prints the logs, list all images, pull an image, do some with authentication, commit a container. Okay, no, that's not the thing. SDK, let's go to the reference. And then let's do container create. Here's the config and port set. Port set. And does it work like host port or something like that? So port set, map port. Port map is a collection of port binding indexed by port. Okay, and a port is just a string. So can we do something like 8080 to 80? Missing typing composite literal. Let's see. Just checking that everything is working fine. We're not losing FPSs. We're not dropping stuff. No, looks like everything is fine. Let's see. I'm doing. There we go. Let's see. Docker, Go SDK, exposed ports. Hey Tarp, we're making a tool to handle Pocket-based stuff. Pocket-base is this open source backend in one file, and we're making a CLI tool and a server tool that would allow us to manage multiple instances of Pocket-base using Docker. So to give you an example, I can, for example, say I should be able by the end of this project to say, imagine this is pocketctl, create a Pocket-based instance called test, and it should run, create a container. So we're up to that step, and it works. Map it to a free available port, and by the end of that, we should be able to also associate it with a predetermined network that we can create, and that would allow the user of this project to maybe put a traffic in front of that network and just have automatic SSL certificate generation and routing and all that good stuff. So I'll just quit that. And let's see. Okay, so something like this. Okay. And yeah, it should be pretty cool once it's done. What we're doing now is I'm trying to figure out how to bind an actual port to the container so that we can um, how can I say this? So that we can actually test. Never used Docker before. Yeah, it's a pretty cool tool. It's not the right tool for every job, but it's a pretty cool thing to do. And the we actually had I was actually thinking of doing something without using Docker by using Firecracker micro VMs, which is a tool to create micro VMs, which is actually what Fly.io does. But I decided against it because I don't really want to bother with low level Linux image generation and all the networking that goes along with it. Because this is supposed to be a fun and relaxing stream, not one where I want to shoot myself. So that should, yeah. But Docker is pretty nice. We actually have a not the right thing. We actually have, this is the Docker file that we're using, which is just we pull from the Alpine image, we pass in the Pocket-based version that we want to pull, and then we run some commands like download and zip Pocket-base. We say we should expose 8080, but we're not really using this part, so we could actually remove it, I think. And then we just start Pocket-base. So it's pretty nice. And what I'm planning to do as soon as I finish this proof of concept and I can see that it works, I would like users to be able to select the Pocket-based version that they want to use. So maybe pulling the info from GitHub and automatically generate this Docker file, build an image locally if they don't have it, and then do all the other stuff. Or second option on that approach is maybe having like a CI script that runs maybe every day, checks for new version, and if there's a new version, generates an image and uploads it to the Docker Hub. The jury is still out on that decision, but we'll see how it goes. So if I'm looking at this, we should do, let me see. So we have our image, and then we do expose ports, and that is a NAT port set. There we go. And we can do 8080. And then just a struct, hopefully. Let's see. Well, it runs, so it didn't explode. And if I do create test, then it creates the container. And let's see, port bindings, no. Networks. Do we have host config binds port bindings? So it should probably be in the host config then. Let's see. Yeah, okay, so expose ports must mean it matches the it must match the expose thing in the Docker file, expose directive. So let's see, do I have, what can I do? Do my name work entry points, health check. Okay, so it's not in container create because it's the next option that we had set to nil up until now. So we could probably do container dot host config. And inside host config, then we could do port bindings. And then we can do init.port map. And for now, let's just have it to 8080. And then let's do not.port port binding, and we'll have host let's do host IP, which should be the wildcard IP, just so we're safe, and host port should also be 8080. And let's do something like this. There we go. And hopefully this works. Let's remove this container and create. I don't think it's still matched. Let's see, networks, port bindings. Oh, so we do have a port binding. Okay. Will it work? If I do localhost 8080. Connection refused. Let's see. Also, we can do something like this as well. Let's see. Expose ports. Why doesn't it work? So the command is fine. So we don't have labels or whatever, that's fine. Runtime port bindings. Let's see, if I restart it. Okay. Let's see, what am I doing wrong? A lot of stuff, probably. What if I also specify the exposed port? Should be something like this. Okay. All right, we do have our binding now. So if I go here and reload, file not found, because I should probably go to slash underscore. And we actually do have Pocket Base running. Yeah, all right. So now, let's try to understand how this works. If I change this to like 8081, it means that I should be able to create a second container called test1, and it is mapped to port 8081, which means that I can go to 8081, and this also loads a new Pocket Base instance. Okay. Okay, this is good. So we know that this here tells the container, I need you to expose this port, and then we bind that exposed port to a host port here. So this should be the same as the exposed port. Okay. Okay. This is wildcard localhost because Docker shenanigans. This should be randomly generated. Let's do this. So let's do bind port. So we do have a lot of to-dos to go through. So we do that, we do that, we do that. Okay. Can I do labels? That would be cool. Let's see. Should be able to do something like this. Let me see if they have any examples. Let's see. Labels. Do they have examples? Hopefully it's just something like pockets, and then something like this. Hopefully. Let me to remove all of these containers, and let's do docker create test. Okay. Inspect labels pockets. All right. So now we also have a label. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Add labels to images, which now means that inside of here, right, I can do filters. Let's do let's see if we can do something with this info. Should be pretty cool. So can we do container list? Okay, list options, filters, and new args. Well, let's try this, I guess. So we'll do this, and then we'll have filter.arg, label, pockets, and let's see if this works. Could not get data. Error response, invalid filter labels. Docker go SDK filter labels. Let's see. Data filters label. Okay. So can I do something like this? Let's try something like this. Invalid filter labels. Oh, should it be label? Got 0 containers. I mean, there should be 1 container. So I believe the filtering doesn't work all that well. Let's see. Can we do pockets? Simple as that. Got 1 containers. All right. So we do have a so the filter works. So that filter on container list. Okay. I'd say let's do. So let me just remove this user. There we go. Don't really need that spam on the stream. I'd suggest let's take a small, let's say 5-minute break, and then we'll get back and do a bit of formatting for the response, and we'll do some formatting on the responses, and then maybe work on having a prettier output for the CLI. All right, stay tuned, and I'll see you back in 5 minutes. And I'm back. Did you miss me? Uh, let's. I mean, I really like Bob Seger, but maybe let's have something a bit more uh, dynamic. Let's see, what can we put on? Uh, huh, huh, huh. Let's do Boston. Yeah, that should be nice. Uh, let's switch back to the main stage. Now, um, I still want to do two things uh, before we say goodbye for the day to probably meet again tomorrow. Um, I want to handle the random ports, right? So we have this packet, which should hopefully work. Fingers crossed. Um, and the second thing that I want to do is see if I can. Uh, 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 um, I think they. I want to have some to basically type the tables result for the list containers and have actual data in it. Um, and I want to see if Charm has something that we can use. Um, let's see. Confetti over SSH. Lip gloss. Uh, 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 um. We could probably, sorry, we could probably use something like bubbles. I want to say, right? We can do tables like this. The only thing that I'm worried about is that I would need to initialize a bubble tea application, which would be problematic because I don't want to bother with that right now. Um, let's see. Uh, hmm. Well, let's go step by step and we'll figure it out along the way. Okay? Um, let's see. Sorry, I'm waiting for a message, so if you see me looking down, that's why. Um, let's do. Uh, let's do. Let's use this. So let's go in here and let's go back to the server and do a go get for get port. And all the way back here, right? So let's do port, something like that, right? Yeah. Port and error So let's import this, and then let's do get port dot get TCP get TCP port for address, and the address should be 0.0.0.0. And if error is not nil, I love this song. Let's say we panic, could not get port. And first we do a printf of the error. And then over here we can do host port, which is string of port dot port, and conversion from to string is a string of one room, not a string of digits. Oh, okay, yeah, so that sucks. Let's do an sprintf of a digit, which is port dot port. This is rerunning, and let's do create test. Yeah, I should probably remove this container. And now we have a random port. And if I do test 1, all right, seems like it's working, which is pretty cool. Let's say, let's go to localhost 45. And this still works. All right. So we get that is done. Awesome. Awesome. So let's go and add there, add random port mapping. And so now I wanted to format the output, right? So let's do types responses. Let's do type list response, and let's do containers, which is something, and then we'll do container struct. I want its name, which when translated to JSON should be lowercase name, and this should be a list of container, and this should hopefully be a capital C, and JSON containers like this. And inside of here we'll do res. Let's do var res types dot contain list response. With let's do res, which is a list types dot list response with containers being an empty array. let's do like something like this. So we have our data. Let's do and let's do range containers. Res.containers is equal to append, and we'll append a container. Let's see dot names 0. So we have that, and then we can just do something like this, right? We can just do, we will marshal res, simple as that, and then we write it out, and this should work, hopefully. Let's do list. Okay. Let's do. I want to print out res, just to see what happens. So we do have that, and now we need to. I need to see if there's a way to share types. That would be pretty nice. Because I need to go to list, and the list response is nothing like that now. It's something like containers, and it's a container. Name string JSON name, and which is a list of container, data JSON of containers, and we just do printf the value of data, and we get the correct response. Great, 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 great. I'm trying to think, how can I do that? How can I share types? I don't really know right now. I'm not the utmost expert in Go, and having a Go monorepo, kind of. Uh, I want to say I should just be able to import from the other package, but I don't think it's as simple as that, because the two packages don't know that the other exists, since they're each individual packages. Uh, hmm. I don't know. I don't know. Ha, ha. I don't know. I don't know. I know that this music is making me sleepy. Let's do. What can we do? What can we do? Yeah, let's do Alice Cooper. Maybe not this one. There we go. That's at least a bit more energetic. Mm. My real question. So let's do charm.sh. So I'll think about that. Like I'll think about the um, I'll think about the importing types between each other uh, later on. Let's see. Can I use huh? Okay, so this is something that we could do. So we can use this. I'd really like to avoid using this because then they use gum, but gum is something that you use in bash scripts, I think, right? And you can just like that or download it. Because then we can render that, right? Is there a way to use it directly with Go? Would be pretty cool. Hmm. Because it would be pretty cool to just have the let's see, they have a table, right? So come table, something like this. Oh, it's to select a row. We don't really need to select. We just want to display, right? So that's not good. Okay. So this I can empty out. The one thing that we can do is use huh, which is pretty interesting. So let's do that. And let's do go get huh. There we go. And inside the CLI, we'll go to the create. Inside commands, create. Let's see if I do create with nothing, does it explode? No, it accepts one args, but it receives 0. Okay, so that's pretty cool. Let's see. Let's do Cobra dot maximum number of args, 1, which means that it becomes optional. And now index out of range. Okay. Okay. So this is probably something that I do inside the command, like get the. So let's do name is equal to. Let's do var name string. And then if len of args is greater than 0, then name is equal to args 0. And then here we can pass name. Otherwise, we can use something like dot new input, and then we can do title. What's the name of the container? Dot value, which would be name, and then just run it. And this should trigger to this. What's the name of the container? How container. And this should create a how container. But this should also work with CLI container. Oh. I mean, yeah, I didn't. I should probably do something like else. And then put do something like this. That should probably work better. So let's do CLI container 2 like this. And this should work, and it creates CLI container 2. Okay. And I saw there's a spinner. Yeah. So what can we do? Run title type update view. Okay, so this is the Oh, okay, so we can run the action like this. Okay, so this is something that we can do when we run, for example, the fetch containers, right? Let's try and do that. So inside list, we'll do func get containers. Right, let's do get containers, which is a function with no arguments. And inside of the function, let's do all of this. Right? And then we'll do basically this. And the spinner we can import from it doesn't get it, so let's do something like this. Let's do go get, and then we can run the get containers action. Don't really care about that, and then we can just print that, and hopefully this just works. No required module, go mod vendor, go mod tidy, sorry. There we go. And now run. Too bad. Why doesn't it work? Spinner.new.run. Okay, and this should just work. This should work. Let's do print inside get containers. Let's see. Let's do time.sleep to time.second. Oh, so okay. It does work. It's just that it's fast. I mean, I'm not gonna complain about that. So let's do fetching containers. And then time is imported but not used, so we can, let's do organize imports. Okay, and now we don't have any containers because we didn't do anything like that. I can do create test. Okay, list, and we get back the data. Let's also do, let's basically do the same thing but with the create, right? So let's do create, which is a function that takes basically all of this. There we go. And there we go. Let's do, for now we skip the response. Something like this, right? Declare not use create. Yeah, that's fine. And we can just do something like this. There we go. I don't care about US exit. We can import the spinner. The action is create container. Let's call it like this. And to creating container. And let's do create test1. Creating container, and that it works. And now we have test1 as well. And if we do list, then we get something. Okay, awesome. Awesome. Let's delete all of this. And let's do all of the CLI stuff. And let's do format response for list. All right. I want to say I would rather avoid doing anything, doing another thing technical, just because I feel like we've done enough for today. So I just like to maybe take a moment and see. Let's do. Let's maybe do a bit of writing. So that is Pocket. Pocket is a tool to manage multiple Pocket base. That should be HTTPS pocketbase.io instances. Okay. Let's do stack. CLI. So the CLI is built using Cobra, and the server is built using GRouter. And then we'll update all of this. So charms. Huh? What does the server use? The Docker SDK, right? Let's just do a bit of technical writing and set up a small README that will then complete during the development phase. So the server uses this, the stack, okay. Requirements. For the CLI, there really aren't any requirements for now. Yeah. And for the server, you'd probably need Docker. Local Docker installation. That's it. Stack. Then let's do configuration. To handle configuration. Multiple choices. Four ways to configure the CLI tool. So let's do CLI here. So there's the config file. And the m variables. And then let's do config file. The config file would be a let's do pockets ctl, right? Let's see. Pockets. Pockets dot, and then it can generate be a TOML, YAML, JSON file located either in the same directory as the executable in home .config pockets. Let's write it the same way. So it's home config pockets /pockets dot tomo YAML JSON. Okay. And variables we can also use and variables to set up and variables. Each variable should be prefixed with pkts underscore. What the hell did I write here? This is supposed to be CLI. Config. Let's do config values. And let's have endpoint. The endpoint of the server of the Pockets server you are connecting to. And that's basically the only thing. Then you have multiple ways to configure the CLI, config file, and variables. Example. And then let's do a tomo, just for the sake of an example, and we can do endpoint equal something like this. So let's do a pockets.toml file could look like this. The same could be achieved with an environment variable set up like this. And then let's do shell. And we can export pkts endpoint HTTP localhost 3000. And here we can say defaults to HTTP localhost 3000. Okay, that's not so bad, right? So we can add the readme, the docker ignore. Okay, I think this is enough for today. You can see the beautiful background removal plugin that I'm using right now. It works, kind of. You don't have to look too closely. Thanks for being here for today's stream. I'll probably see you tomorrow. I'll try, and tomorrow we'll probably do a bit more server endpoints. So we'll do being able to stop, start, and delete containers, which should be fun. And then obviously implement all of that also in the CLI, so that the two continues to match and go. The development goes along for the two at the same time. And yeah, that's all. So thank you all for watching, and I'll see you in the next stream. Bye.